Want it all. That is the rally cry. Not since 2015 have the Jays clinched the AL East title. We've got Jays postseason talk this hour.
And a potential property tax hike linked to asylum seekers will explain Mayor Chow's push for more money.
More construction, this time at King and Dufferin. Melissa Duggan has what you need to know about this TTC project and the timeline.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Phil Perkins. Our top story. We'll have to wait almost a week for the Jays postseason to begin, but the excitement is building across the region.
All right, CP24's Andrew Brennan has been talking to fans all day long, joining us live from outside of Rogers Center. And, you know, having to wait a week, that's actually a good thing for the Jays,
It's
right?
a good thing for health-wise, my mental and my anxiety and maybe my liver, Andrew. Not good. Not good.
I'm not a doctor, Phil, but we should talk about that off the air. If you need someone, I'm here for you. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Actually, I can't say that because, again, I'm not a doctor. But as we are getting a bit of a reprieve for Phil's liver, for my and Phil's mental health and other things, and Jays fans basically not having to worry about the jinx that has been the wild card these past few years, we are also dealing with a bit of a break. Hold on, wait, hold on. This is actually really good. This is why we have a team. Cameraman Ken, we're going to see if we can talk to somebody. My friend, do you want to talk about the Blue Jays? Because, you know, we're at CP24, we're live all the time, and we like to talk to people. I'm guessing you're a fan based on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's surplus. It's actually a player's jersey from the spring training.
No way. Okay, so I guess the most important question is, after this weekend where we finally clinched to the division, how are we feeling about October the 4th, and how are we feeling about this team?
Oh, they've proven everyone wrong throughout the whole season. Like, they're not supposed to be where they are, but they are, right? So, yeah, they can do it. If everything comes together, they're going to do it.
I like your optimism and also giving it, saying it's in our hands. It's not in anyone else's hands.
It's always in our hands, right? It's pitcher has a bad day, there goes the game. Pitcher has a good game, we got it, right?
And would you rather see us play Boston or New York?
I like to see New York, just because they basically told us we're not supposed to be there, but we are. So I like to take them out.
I like the way you think, good sir. Thank you very much for your time, and let's go Blue Jays. You have a great day. So as you can see, Jamie, it's not Jamie. I've been talking to Jamie for the past 2 hours, so sorry about that. What are the other two of you? Phil and Bakari. So as you can kind of hear, the Blue Jays, kind of like the little engine that could, which was blue, by the way, just thought they could, and then they got here, and they were defying a lot of people's expectations. That's what fans have been saying throughout the day, as we've spoken to people that came to watch games from Medicine Hat, came from the East Coast. There were a lot of people that wanted to cheer on these Blue Jays and are wanting to be here as well for those October 4th, 5th, and potentially beyond games here at the Rogers Center. By the way, if you're looking for resale tickets, they are very expensive, at least $200, $300 just to be up in the nosebleeds and the 500s. So if you want to cheer on the Blue Jays for that amount of money, good luck. I'm here if you need a friend. And speaking of friends, back to you two.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That's right. Our DMs are open. If you have tickets, slide into them, and we'll
not
be
for
great.
other stuff. Not for other
just
stuff.
Tickets. That's
Be careful with that.
I know, but dude, if you got, I need to see photos of the tickets. Oh my, Andrew, thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right, well, the city of Toronto, of course, celebrating the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Jays postseason flag is flying high outside City Hall. The flag has the team's rally cry, want it all, meaning that they want to go all the way to the World Series and win it. It was raised this morning to honor the team for clinching the American League East to bypass the wild card games and go directly to the Division Series.
We want it all. We want that World Series win. We want that trophy, and we want a World Championship back here in Canada.
Yeah, none of this like getting knocked out of the first round.
Absolutely not. We want it all.
All right. 3-game wildcard series between The Yankees and the Red Sox begins tomorrow night. The winner of that series takes on Toronto in the divisional series. That starts, as Andrew mentioned, Saturday at the Rogers Center.
Okay, right now it's 5:04. Let's get a check in the evening commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa Nsiaya. Adj, there were some problems earlier today when we were talking.
There were. We still have quite a few. It's been a busy Monday afternoon. Maybe people just on a high from the Jays winning postseason. So if you're making your way through, it is a busy go on the major routes. It's rush hour. It's the GTA to be expected. But these problems aren't to be expected, but I'll mention them. This is the northbound 410, just as you make your way north of Steeles. It's the two right lanes that are blocked following this collision. A couple of vehicles involved in this one, so all of a sudden the drive into Brampton getting a whole lot busier. Then if your travels take you on to the 401, still watching problems westbound 401 in the Express. Just as you approach Avenue Road, collision involving a school bus. Still that right lane blocked. Drive with additional extra caution as you navigate through. Still looking at delays from as far back as Kennedy as a result. And the northbound 400, no good news here. Really slow because of problems on the ramp that takes you to Finch. Not accessible. This is following a much earlier collision that continues at the top of the ramp, and it's going to be there for the next little bit. That is the word from OPP. Outside of camera view on the Gardner westbound, the exit ramp that takes you to Jameson partially blocked, and that is with a stall.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Okay, so we're following developing news. There are no injuries to report in a house fire in Bathurst and DuPont.
Here's a live look right now. The scene firefighters are working. Can't see them right now, but you can see the ladder on top of the building. You see a firefighter scaling down right now. Excessive damage there, a hole through the roof. They're looking at remaining hot spots after the main flames were extinguished. Holes were made in the roof to help ventilate what remains of the home.
One person's dead following a collision between three transport trucks. This was on the eastbound 401 in Clarington.
Yeah, the crash happened around 6 this morning at Holt Road, and traffic was diverted to the 418. Police say traffic was slowed at the time due to another crash that happened several hours before that.
Traffic was slowed down and stopped at the time. And that's when a tractor trailer rear-ended a stopped tractor trailer in lane number 3. So that would be the slow lane. And then it continued on the right shoulder, sideswiping a tractor trailer ahead of the one that it was rear-ended. The driver of the tractor trailer that did the rear-ending has been pronounced deceased at scene.
The initial crash happened on the eastbound 401 at Bowmanville Avenue. 4 people were hurt in that crash. It was just after midnight, and police say that 2 people have life-threatening injuries. 2 others have minor injuries.
And a major construction project has started at King and Dufferin that is impacting motorists and those who rely on the TTC.
Okay, CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us live with the details on the big job to replace streetcar tracks. Melissa, big question, how long is this going to take?
Yeah, it's going to last until the middle of November, Bakari and Phil. You could hear the loud construction behind me right now. And this is the first afternoon rush that's affected by this construction work just kicked off here today. And yeah, it's going to be sticking around for some time. It's to repair TTC tracks, to renew them, take out the old ones, put some new ones in. This has all been scheduled, planned for quite some time, and now it is taken effect. So the roadway is closed to traffic. Same goes for TTC service as well, as I've been standing here watching buses being detoured through this area. There are sidewalks on either side that are still open, though, for pedestrians. Watching some people put their bicycles through this area as well. But yeah, anything on 4 wheels or more, you're going to have to be going around this area straight through until the middle of November. We talked to the TTC's Stuart Green about this work. Here's a little of what he had to say.
There's curved track, there's straight track, there's switches. They get a good workout. So particularly that curved track, because you can appreciate that when the streetcars are turning on that curved track, they're putting a lot of stress on the system, on the rail.
Yeah, so consider this just a big heads up to anyone in Liberty Village or anyone who uses this as a route to get to or from wherever they're going. You won't be able to have a smooth ride through this area until the middle of November. That's how long this TTC track work is going to be stretching on until. For now, Bakari and Phil, I'm going to toss back to you.
Thanks so much, Melissa. Okay, speaking of transit, a couple of service disruptions you need to know if you take the subway this week.
Yeah, service on line 2 between Ossington and St. George. It's going to end at midnight. That'll be today through Friday due to track work. And on line 1, trains are going to operate on a single track from Finch West to Shepherd West starting at 11 o'clock. That'll be from tonight until Thursday for structural maintenance. The TTC says this is going to allow crews to complete work on the opposite track while service continues on the other side. Now, riders are being told to expect delays of up to 15 minutes. Regular service is scheduled to resume the following morning.
And a by-election is being held today to fill a vacant seat at City Council at Ward 25, Scarborough Rouge Park.
It was previously represented by Jennifer McKelvey, who stepped down to run in the spring federal election. She's now the Liberal MP for Ajax, and more than 4,000 people, they did cast a ballot during advance voting.
Resident want somebody who can get back to City Hall and make City Hall listen to Scarborough. That's the most important thing that we are hearing, that we've been neglected, we've been disrespected as a community, and they want somebody with an experience like me to go back and make sure that City Hall listens to Scarborough's needs and acts on those needs.
At the doors, what we're really hearing is concerns over public safety, concerns over services that need to be improved, especially around things like snow removal. A lot of residents have discussed that the last few years have been really brutal, especially for our seniors when it comes to, getting themselves out of the driveway, which, you might think are just simple things, but for a lot of people that really impacts their quality of life.
Well, the only candidate that's born in this ward, raised in this ward, lives in this ward, it'll be very exciting for me to represent the community that I live and serve. And I'm excited what's going to happen tonight, and I'm very pumped at the type of work that we can do to keep things moving, especially this traffic here on Morningside. It's a major artery to the highway, and we want to get traffic moving.
I think it's incredibly important for voters to have somebody represent them that lives amongst them and lives with the decisions that they make at City Hall, just like their neighbors. And I think they also want somebody with a history of community involvement, and I've heard that time and time again, because then you know whose intentions are real and what they want to do. And I'm confident that voters are going to see that I'm the best person for the job.
And polls are open until 8 this evening.
Well, speaking of City Hall, Mayor Olivia Chow says property taxes could jump by at least 2% if the federal government doesn't provide more money to the city for asylum seekers.
Yeah, Chow's comments came as a report went before the city's executive committee, projecting a more than $105 million year-ending operating variance, mainly due to lower than expected money from a federal program that's supposed to help municipalities manage the downstream impact of asylum claimants. In a letter to the executive committee, Chow's calling on council to make a request for the federal government to provide $107 million to support asylum seekers and refugees.
We have been providing shelter to people who arrived to Toronto fleeing violence, war, and persecution. But now the federal government won't pay their bills for the service, and the city is short by $107 million. We can either stop sheltering refugees claimants, leave them on the street, which will make homelessness worse, reversing the progress we made on reducing the number of encampments. Or Torontonians will have to pay for it through their property taxes. Neither is fair. So the government, the federal government, must fulfill its responsibility.
And a statement from the City of Toronto reads, quote, in February, the City of Toronto submitted a grant application to the federal government requesting $671 million in funding for refugee shelter supports through to March 2027. So in response, the federal government has only offered 39% of Toronto's ask. This is far from sufficient to cover the needs we are seeing in our city and far below previous agreements that covered 95% of costs.
It's 5:13, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Premier Doug Ford said today he wants to use surveillance cameras to fight crime. We'll hear more from Ford in a moment.
Well, a group called End Violence Everywhere has announced that it's launching a lawsuit against the government over changes to limits for trials.
Yeah, let's go live now to CP24 crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve.
Yeah, guys, the Charter of Rights and Freedom says that everybody has the right to a trial in a reasonable amount of time after being charged with an offense. And a case back in 2016, Regina versus Jordan, it was a drug case, and it took 4 years for that to come to trial. And as a result, those charges were stayed, and the Supreme Court ruled that the Crown now has an obligation to make sure that any case that is before the Superior Court, that it is dealt with within 30 months of a charge being laid, and with the Provincial Court, 18 months before the 18-month time limit while a trial is laid before the charges and the trial. And if it goes beyond that, there is the risk, if the Crown does not have a reasonable reason as to why that took so long, those charges can be stayed. So as a result, advocacy groups like Eve are advocating on behalf of victims, particularly violent crimes, those who've suffered intimate partner violence and sexual assault. They speak of lived experiences, and their concern is that because of these time limits, that cases that aren't met within that time will be stayed. And as a result, the rights of the accused are looked after, but their concern is the rights of the victims are not. So they spoke out front of Queen's Park today, and we heard from the founder and CEO of Eve. And here's some of what she said earlier. Let's have a listen.
Why would you come forward? I wasted my time for 4 years after nearly being killed. There was no point in that song and dance. It was an utter waste of federal resources, provincial resources, my resources, everybody's resources, and an entire waste of life. Because until your trial, if you're lucky enough to get one in this country, until your trial is over, you cannot heal properly. There is no closure, no matter what Victim Services tells you.
Many say that our entire judicial system needs an overhaul. We are seeing detention centers where there are overcapacity, and this is the reason why I'm told why many people who are on bails are released on other bails is because of the inhumane conditions, we are told, in the detention centers, which is a provincial matter. And same with the criminal courts. The Crowns are overworked. There's limited judges. The Crowns are doing the best they can with the amount of resources that they can, but as a result, the courts are backlogged as well. And that is the reason why a lot of these charges are being stayed, and this is why victims, like you just heard from there, these advocates for victims, rather, are so concerned, because unless things change, this is going to happen time and time again. And they're concerned that a victim's voice will be lost in this entire mess. Send it back to you guys.
Okay, live from Queen's Park, CP24's crime analyst, G. Ryan. Well, Premier Doug Ford says that he's looking to expand the use of surveillance cameras to help catch suspects in car thefts and home invasions. This is days after announcing legislation to ban speed cameras.
What these cameras do, they pick up a license plate, and if it's a stolen car, it gets immediately reported to the police, the local police. I had a conversation. It was a promptu meeting with our community. I don't know, about 60, 70 people came out. There's been 4 home invasions in our small community over the last 10 days. And there's an opportunity only if the community wants it, right? If you don't want cameras for security reasons, I know a lot of people have home cameras as well, then we won't put it in. We'll only put those cameras in if the city or the town wants it in.
Premier's office says they're in the very preliminary stages of looking into these cameras. There is currently a $2 million grant program allowing police services to set up CCTV cameras, and the province will pay half the cost.
It's 5:19, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Up next, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have announced their plan to end the war in Gaza.
Here's President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say that they've agreed on a plan to end the war in Gaza.
Well, Trump and Netanyahu held a news conference at the White House for the unveiling of the 20-point plan to end the war and establish a post-war governance in the war-battered Palestinian territory. The plan does not require people to leave Gaza and calls for the war to end immediately and all hostages be released within 72 hours if both sides accept it.
At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East.
If Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way. but it will be done.
Well, the two leaders did not take any questions, and Trump says that Israel would have the full backing of the United States to take steps to defeat Hamas if it does not accept the proposed peace deal.
It's 5:23, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Up ahead, Raptors hold their annual media day ahead of heading to Calgary for training camp.
Well, amidst all this Blue Jays talk and the postseason, World Series, the Raptors gearing up. They have the media day before heading out to Calgary.
And the Raptors are coming off of a season when they won 30 games, finished third in the Atlantic Division, and missed the playoffs. Head coach Darko Rajakovic talked about the expectations as he enters his third season with the club.
My focus is on winning and developing at the same time. I'm really blessed and grateful to have a group of guys like we have in this organization now. They're just hungry. Guys are really excited to be around each other. They're hungry to go out there and compete. We're setting the highest standards possible for us to operate every single day. So day to day, nothing is going to change in my approach. I'm going to try to build my players. I'm going to try to build our team. I'm going to try to build our community.
We still got a lot of things to continue to work on, to continue to grow. But out there, we're moving. We're playing great defense. We're rotating. On the defensive end, we're very active on the ball. Offensive end, we're playing much faster, pushing the pace. It's going to be able to allow everybody to be able to get the ball and be able to, because we have a lot of guys that can score on our team as well, and that's starting five. So being able to play faster, kick aheads, being able to have people create their own driving lanes while the floor is spaced out, it just helps in so many ways.
I think just being with the energetic guys. When I came here in February, I never noticed how hard the guys played. Like on the defensive end, transferring to the offensive end, I'm just excited to bring my skill level and make things easier for other guys. Playmaking, scoring the basketball, defense, getting steals, going on the other end and just having fun, It do feel like a fresh start.
Man, I'm pumped watching that. The Raptors will practice Calgary tomorrow, Friday. They'll play their first preseason game against Denver Nuggets in Vancouver a week from today.
Right out 5:28, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
We're live outside the Rogers Center. It is empty-ish. I'm sure people there buying merch, but boy, in a couple days, it's going to be a party. They want it all. That's the rally cry. Not since 2015 had the Blue Jays clinched the AL East title. We've got Jays postseason talk this hour.
And a potential property tax hike linked to asylum seekers. We're going to explain Chow's push for more money.
Hey, more construction happening. Live at King and Dufferin, Melissa Duggan has what you need to know about this TTC project and the timeline.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Phil Perkins.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. So, listen, we're going to have to wait almost a week for the Jays postseason to begin, but the excitement, it's already building, not only in the city, but right here in the studio because...
Well, I'm jacked up. I think the whole country's jacked up about it. It's Canada's team. CP24's Andrew Brennan has been speaking with fans. You said you spoke with people coming in from Medicine Hat, and they come in normally during the regular season, Andrew, and watch multiple games in a row, and now people are descending on Toronto to take in an ALDS at the Rogers Center.
Yeah. And one of the people, by the way, Phil, that I spoke to, he's from Newfoundland, and he was basically saying that he'd like to come back. He's going to try to come back, but also the resale value for tickets right now is making him really question if he's going to be able to come back. And I'm also just thinking about how I can't afford those tickets right now. Anyway, so as we all realize that we'd like to have more money to be able to support the Blue Jays with that much more enthusiasm inside of a stadium, we have been able to speak with fans, like you mentioned, from Medicine Hat, Alberta, from across Canada. Like I mentioned already, we had the East Coast there. We had a few people from the West, and even Americans that wanted to see us because of their allegiances to, say, Seattle or whatever, defeat whomever between Boston or the Yankees, as they're the two competing against each other in the wild card, to have the privilege to take us on. As I've been doing this, by the way, as I've been doing throughout the whole day, trying to vamp for time as I see anyone wearing blue coming out of the Jays shop or walking by. And unfortunately, today is, or this is really my moment of shame, because we have nobody right now. So can we roll the clip of the awesome people from before? How are we feeling right now?
Pretty good. I think momentum's on our side. Team's going to get some rest. I think we do better with rest. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
We're from Calgary, so we just flew up for the 3-game series, and it was phenomenal. Couldn't ask for a better.
Party of a lifetime.
Couldn't ask for a better.
I can't talk. I lost. I was cheering too loud.
I'd love nothing more than to see the Dodgers and the Jays in the World Series. And if you can do us a favor, beat the crap out of the Yankees or the Red Sox, whoever you have to play.
So that last guy was amongst the Americans that we spoke to. He did say that we couldn't mention anything else that happened in that interview. I'm not sure why, but basically I don't think he wanted to have other Americans know that he was cheering on a Canadian team, but live on CP24. So you're welcome, America. And for the rest of the Blue Jays fans really across Canada, I know we have a couple of days to wait, but as you heard one of our very good armchair analysts saying before, rest is good. Also, the wild card hasn't been kind to us for the last couple of years. So let's enjoy what we got and appreciate that not only did we beat everyone else in the division, but we had the best record in the American League. That's something to always take home and be proud of. Back to you both.
Yeah, and the Jays, their record at the Rogers Center, guys, is absolutely ridiculous. So if it ever went to a Game 5 or Game 7, it'll be at the Rogers Center, so it is massive. Yeah, like you said, not a great record of the wild card, guys. So let the Yankees and the Bo Sox just beat each other up, and then come to Toronto. Andrew, thank you.
All right, the city of Toronto is celebrating the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Jays postseason flag flying high over City Hall. The flag has the team's rally cry. It's "Want It All," meaning they want to go all the way to the World Series and win it. It was raised this morning to honor the team for clinching the AL East, to bypass the wild card, as we're talking about, and go directly to the divisional series.
This is what you work for when, you're in sports, you work for a team, you work for this moment, and it doesn't matter how long the season is, how tired you might be, you get this rejuvenation of how incredible it's going to be to go on this postseason run. And I can't wait to do it with the J Force, with everyone in the organization, with all of our fans. It's truly incredible.
And the 3-game wild card series between the Yankees and Red Sox, it begins tomorrow night. And the winner of that series is going to play the Blue Jays in the divisional series, which starts Saturday at the Rogers Center.
Yeah, tickets I saw starting like $300. So, CP24 traffic specialist Adjo and Sia Yabwa. I don't know.
Are you trying to ask me to get tickets? I can't help you. I can't help you, Phil. Sorry.
Well, no? Okay,
if I get them,
cool.
I'll let you know that I'm at the game, and then you can just watch me on the big screen.
That's cool.
Love you, Phil.
That's all right. That's all right.
You're making your way out of the majors. I do have some good news, so I'll keep the smiles and the laughs going. On the northbound lanes of the 400, we had that ramp completely closed. It was shut down. This was following a pretty serious collision, which had shut that ramp down. All lanes reopened, so it's accessible again. This is why the drive on the 400 North looking a whole lot better. Traveling towards the 401, not the easiest drive. This is because of problems happening on the westbound 401 in the collectors through Leslie. It is the center lane blocked with a 3-vehicle crash. No emergency crews on scene, so that's adding to the slow drive. And then from that point, the delays continue. We're westbound 401 in the express. This is on the approach to Avenue Road. This is a long-standing collision involving a school bus still there, blocking that right lane as well as the right shoulder. And checking in on the DVP, always moving slowly during rush hour. It still is as you head north from Don Mills, continues busy all the way up to the 401. On city streets in North York, crews on scene of a collision on Shepherd just east of the 400. I'll send it back to you, Phil and Bakari.
All right, Adjo. Still, I'll take tickets. All right.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on now, though. No injuries in a house fire near Bathurst and DuPont.
Okay, this is a live look at the scene. Firefighters, they've been working to access the building. You see them right there. They're trying to put out any remaining hot spots. This is after the main flames were extinguished. Holes have been made in the rooftop. You see right there to help ventilate what remains of the home. We're going to keep an eye on this, and we'll update you throughout the evening.
Well, staying on the roads, a major construction project has started at King and Dufferin that's impacting motorists and people taking TTC.
Okay, along with that, let's check in with CP24's Melissa Duggan, who joins us live with the details of the big job to replace streetcar tracks. So, Melissa, let's talk about the changes that people need to make on their commutes if they rely on the TTC.
Well, just don't drive through this area. That's a change you got to make. And you got to keep that new route that you're going to choose for about a month and a half. It is loud. It is inconvenient. It's going to last until the middle of November. But hey, in exchange for all of that, you get some shiny new streetcar tracks. That's the reason why this intersection here in Liberty Village at King and Dufferin is being shut down, putting in some new tracks, some repairs, that kind of thing. Just kind of part of regular maintenance that we see in the city. And unfortunately, it's just a busy intersection that's affecting this time. Especially this time of day, it would be a very busy area, but instead we're watching cars being rerouted through here. Same goes for TTC buses, obviously streetcars not going through here as well for the next 6 weeks or so. We've been talking to people in the area. How do they feel about all this? Not everyone loving it, as you can imagine. Have a listen.
It's quite some pain. I have to deliver all the way across and there's no parking.
This is a major intersection. I can't even go get food at lunchtime. You have to walk all the way around.
A hassle for a while. I got a lot of pain in my back because of a fractured pelvis bone.
Real pain because of a scooter and I need ramps to go up and down.
Few things are meant to be maintained. Like this is like a preventive maintenance you have to do.
With 2 little kids going on TTC, that'll add a huge amount of time to where we're trying to go and stuff.
Obviously an inconvenience for a lot of businesses in this area, not just for people who use this as their normal travel route. Also thinking about the people who live in the buildings next door here. I've been watching a few of them coming out onto their balconies, looking down at the construction work below. And yeah, they're going to have to hear this. I don't know if you can hear that until the middle of November. That's how long this construction work is going to be going on for. So yeah, avoid this intersection, King and Dufferin, until the middle of November. Bakari and Phil, back to you.
All right. Reporting live.
I stick with it. Just bike. Just bike everywhere. Don't drive anywhere. Don't take transit. Just bike.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? All right. Speaking of City Hall, Mayor Olivia Chow says property taxes could jump by at least 2% if the federal government doesn't provide more cash to the city for asylum seekers.
Yeah, Chow's comments, they come as a report went before the city's executive committee projecting a more than $105 million year-ending operating variance, mainly due to lower than expected money from a federal program that's supposed to help municipalities manage the downstream impact of asylum claimants. In a letter to the executive committee, Chow's calling on council to make a request for the federal government to provide $107 million to support asylum seekers and refugees.
We have been providing shelter to people who arrived to Toronto fleeing violence, war, and persecution. But now the federal government won't pay their bills for the service, and the city is short by $107 million. We can either stop sheltering refugees claimants, leave them on the street, which will make homelessness worse, reversing the progress we made on reducing the number of encampments. Or Torontonians will have to pay for it through their property taxes. Neither is fair. So the government, the federal government, must fulfill its responsibility.
Well, the refugee group African Canadian Collective says newcomers are here to better their lives, and the best way to support them is to provide wraparound housing.
We are not ready to go back to 23. Our community is not ready to take on the work of the federal government. We lost lives. Some of our members went bankrupt housing refugees, and we also put so much pressure on our community to the point where now many of them have been exhausted to the point where they can't even go back into what they used to do. So we're asking the federal government to take on its responsibility to make sure that people are housed. When we invite people to Canada, our first and foremost responsibility is to make sure that they're taken care of, they're given refuge. And I think...
And a statement from the City of Toronto reads, quote, In February, the City of Toronto submitted a grant application to the federal government requesting $671 million in funding for refugee shelter supports through to March 2027. In response, the federal government has only offered 39% of Toronto's ask. This is far from sufficient to cover the needs that we're seeing in our city and far below previous agreements that covered 95% of costs.
It's 5:41, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
And coming up, a group's launching a lawsuit against the government. This is over changes to limits for trials.
Welcome back. A group called End Violence Everywhere has announced that it is launching a lawsuit against the government over changes to limits for trials.
Okay, let's go live to Queen's Park. This is where CP24's crime analyst Steve Ron has been covering the story. Steve.
Yeah, guys, we've heard from many that work in the judicial system, whether that be the Crown's, police, defense counsel, victim services workers, corrections officers in the provincial detention centers. They've all been sounding the alarm, saying that the system is stretched to the max. So we're seeing that in detention centers where people aren't being held in custody when there certainly are grounds to do so because the detention centers are full. And we've got corrections workers working in those conditions as well. And the same goes for the court process, the trial process. People have the right under the charter to have a trial within a reasonable amount of time, according to the charter. And the Supreme Court has made a decision as a result of a case in 2016, Regina versus Jordan. It was a drug case whereby it took 4 years for those charges to be brought to trial. And as a result, those charges were stayed. The Supreme Court has since said that the Crowns now have 30 months to have a trial when it comes to the Supreme Court, Superior Court rather, and 18 months when it comes to provincial court matters. And if things go beyond that time, well, then the Crown runs the risk of having those charges stayed. And this is why this advocacy group who we spoke with today, EVE, which it stands for Eliminate Violence Everywhere. They are victims' right advocates. Many of them have their own lived experience being the victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. And they saw the charges against their accuser being stayed as a result of the length of time it took for it to get to trial. So at Queen's Park today, we heard from many advocates, including this woman who you're going to hear from right now, who spoke on behalf of victims, and they talked about their concerns when it comes to the judicial system and what can happen to victims who may perceive that the system does not work in their favor. There's no support. And as a result, they may be concerned about coming forward because their accuser could be let off if, in fact, it takes too long for these charges to get to the trial stage. Here's more. Let's listen.
No one is doing anything. That's why we are utilizing the courts. And, you know, we have a charter. And at the end of the day, the criminal justice system does not just exist for defendants. Survivors and victims have a right to procedural fairness. They have a right to have justice. And of course, you cannot have justice if you don't even have a trial. So everyone seems to acknowledge that this is a very big problem, but no one seems to actually want to do something.
EVE, End Violence Everywhere, not Eliminate Violence Everywhere, as I misstated. That group is now suing the government because they are concerned that victims will not have their day in court and that it will not encourage people to come forward if, in fact, they are victims of such things as sexual assault or intimate partner violence. And this group says that the majority of these victims are, in fact, women. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Steve, outside Queen's Park, thank you very much. Well, construction is now complete on a new GO station in Hamilton.
Yeah, the Confederation GO station. It's near Centennial Park in the QEW. It opened for service in 4 weeks, October 27th. All existing trains to and from Niagara Falls will stop at the station that features a fully accessible platform and 148 parking spots.
And Mississauga has recorded the most food bank visits in its history.
Yeah, more than 500,000 visits were made to Food Banks Mississauga and its network of food programs last year. The organization says that is a 20% increase from the previous year. The annual impact report says that the number of visits per household increased from an average of 3 to 5 times per year in 2019 to 10 times in 2024. 28% of visits were made by children, while 39% were new food bank users.
It's at 5:48, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
And coming up, WestJet says that some passenger data was exposed in a cybersecurity breach.
Welcome back. India's Bishnoi gang has been listed as a terrorist entity in this country.
The designation comes after the RCMP accused India last year of using the gang to carry out acts of violence against Sikh activists in Ontario and other provinces. Its leader is reportedly able to coordinate criminal activities from inside prison, and New Delhi has denied the RCMP's allegations. The new classification allows Canadian authorities to seize the gang's property and freeze its accounts.
Well, the investigation continues into a shooting and fire at a Mormon church in Michigan that left 4 people dead and 8 injured.
Yeah, all of the missing have been accounted for. A motive for the attack during their service yesterday is not known, but the FBI, which is leading the investigation, considers it an act of targeted violence. The gunman, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, lived in a nearby town and had served in the Marines 18 years ago. He was shot and killed by police.
And the federal jobs minister is urging Canada Post to quickly table a new offer to the union of striking postal workers.
The Canadian Union of Postal Workers told its members to begin picketing on Thursday. This after Ottawa announced sweeping changes to the Crown Corporation's operations to address its troubled financial situation. And those changes included ending daily mail delivery, closing some rural post offices, and moving almost all Canadian households to community mailboxes, moves that the union calls a direct attack on workers.
And WestJet says the personal information of some passengers was exposed in a cybersecurity breach earlier this year, but no payment data was compromised.
The airline says that it detected suspicious activity June 13th and later determined a criminal third party had gained unauthorized access to its systems. WestJet says that the type of data exposed in the breach, it could include names, contact details, travel information, and documents tied to reservations. Now, the carrier says it is working closely with law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and Canadian Center for Cybersecurity.
It's 5:53, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And the Jays have won the AL East for the first time in a decade. We're going to talk to Locked on Blue Jays podcast hosts next about what happens.
Welcome back. Well, the Blue Jays, they captured their first division title in a decade and punched their ticket to the American League Division Series.
Okay, for more of the Jays' hopes in the postseason, the excitement, we're joined live right now by Braden Owasco, host of the Locked on Blue Jays podcast. Braden, thanks so much for joining us. First things first, did I get the last name right?
You nailed it.
Okay, so listen, we got to nail this. The theme, the slogan, won it all. The World Series, not only getting there, but bringing it home. Is it going to happen?
I think it's possible. The biggest takeaway from this last series for me against the Tampa Bay Rays was the fact that they were able to gut this one out, right? Not playing their best baseball. They go into this in a need-to-sweep scenario, and they get the job done. And for me, that's been the heart and soul of this team all year long, is being able to get comeback wins, obviously. The first place in comeback wins in all of the MLB. That's why this team has been so successful, and that is what you want in a World Series championship team.
Who is your MVP of this team that led us to this point?
No question. It's George Springer. George Springer all season, coming from what sort of was a downfall of a career, and the turnaround. The comeback player of the year, George Springer, has to be the MVP. As good as Alejandro Kirk has been this whole season, Dalton Varsho, some of the pitching, Kevin Gausman, it really all falls on the shoulders of George Springer.
All right, so how can the Jays maximize this time off until the weekend?
To be honest, it's not about each player specifically that has been playing. It's about the Bo Bichettes. It's about the starting pitching, Chris Bassett, Jose Brios, getting all those guys healthy. The rest of them, yeah, time off's great. Getting Kevin Gausman ready for game one is going to be massive. But really, it's hoping that these guys that were injured can come back better than ever, like they haven't missed a beat.
You know, baseball players are creatures of habit, so I got to ask you, the white panel hats, do you think that they got to stick with that?
Listen, I got about 30 Blue Jays hats, and I'm about to go buy 15 of them just to wear myself around the house. I might start handing them out on the streets because, yeah, something in those hats is getting the job done.
I'm trying to get one. I'm a 7 3/4, Braden. That's massive. It's like 62 centimeters around, and they are sold out. So a lot of big-headed people out there. But I get you. Something about those white caps. Apparently, Hoffman asked for them, and they got them, and no turning back now, I guess.
Okay, so Braden, we have about 20 seconds left. How does this Jays team stack up with other postseason Jays teams?
I think that they don't have the offensive capabilities as some teams we've seen in the past, but the pitching is the standout, right? All of these guys, the young Treya Savage coming back in, possibly getting a playoff start, making his mark. It's all going to come down to pitching. That's where they say games are won and lost in the postseason, is your pitching staff, and they got a darn good one.
All right, Braden Wasco, host of the Locked On Blue Jays podcast, daily podcast. Thanks so much. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, Braden.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, it's 5:59, 25 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
Thanks for watching. CTV News at 6 is next. Here's a live shot of a flag that does say "Want It All."